Welcome, thrill seekers, to a world of spine-chilling tales and hair-raising adventures. Gather around for a frightful journey into the unknown as we delve deep into the realm of scary stories. Buckle up, hold on tight, and get ready to experience a rush of terror like never before. It was an unassuming little shop on the corner of 5th and Main, sandwiched between a coffee shop and a bakery. The sign above the door read Curiosities and Antiques, and the windows were filled with all manner of strange and fascinating objects. But there was something eerie about the place that made passers-by hesitate before entering. Maybe it was the dim lighting, or the musty smell that seemed to waft out of the door, or the way the antique items in the windows seemed to stare back at anyone who looked at them for too long. But for those who dared to venture inside, the shop was a treasure trove of bizarre and fascinating items from all over the world. There were old maps and globes, intricate jewelry, antique weapons, and strange trinkets that defied explanation. The owner, a mysterious and reclusive figure known only as Mr. Blackwood, was always happy to regale visitors with stories about the origins of his wares, and many left feeling as if they had stepped back in time. However, as word of the shop spread, so did rumors of strange occurrences inside its walls. Some claimed to have seen objects moving on their own, or heard whispers coming from the shadows. Others said they felt an overwhelming sense of unease upon entering the shop, as if they were being watched by unseen eyes. Despite these rumors, the shop remained open for business, and customers continued to flock to it in search of unique treasures. But one day, something changed. It started with small things. An antique doll's head turned slightly when no one was looking. A vase fell off a shelf and shattered on the floor, despite being securely placed. But as the days went on, the incidents grew more frequent and more sinister. One woman reported feeling a cold, clammy hand brush against her ankle as she was browsing the shelves. Another claimed to have seen a shadowy figure moving in the corner of her eye. And a group of teenagers who snuck into the shop after hours swore they heard voices whispering in the darkness. Mr. Blackwood was at a loss to explain these occurrences. He had never experienced anything like this in all his years of owning the shop. He brought in experts to check for wiring or structural issues, but they found nothing amiss. As the incidents continued, some customers began to suspect that the objects themselves were somehow responsible. They speculated that the shop was cursed, or that one of the items had been possessed by a malevolent spirit. One day, a young couple came into the shop looking for a wedding gift. They were immediately drawn to an ornate, silver-framed mirror that hung on the back wall. It was old and tarnished, but the intricate carvings around the edges made it look like something out of a fairy tale. Mr. Blackwood warned them that the mirror was cursed, that it had caused strange occurrences in the past. But the couple was undeterred, and they purchased the mirror anyway. That night, strange things began to happen in their home. The couple heard whispers in the darkness and felt a presence in the room with them. The mirror seemed to radiate a cold, ominous energy that permeated the entire house. Desperate for answers, the couple returned to the antique shop to confront Mr. Blackwood. But when they arrived, they found the shop in disarray. The shelves had been overturned, the glass cases shattered, and the entire place was in a state of chaos. But that wasn't the worst of it. As they searched the shop, the couple heard a low, guttural growling coming from somewhere deep within the building. It was a sound that chilled them to the bone, and they knew that something terrible had happened. With trepidation, the couple cautiously made their way to the back of the shop, where the growling seemed to be coming from. As they turned the corner, they were confronted by a sight that would haunt them for the rest of their lives. In the center of the room stood the cursed mirror, but it was no longer tarnished or old. It had been transformed into a gleaming, polished surface that seemed to glow with an otherworldly light. And reflected in the mirror was a grotesque, demonic figure with glowing red eyes and razor-sharp claws. The couple stumbled backwards in terror as the figure began to step out of the mirror, its twisted body contorting and writhing as it emerged. They knew they had to get out of the shop before it was too late. As they turned to run, they were confronted by Mr. Blackwood, who was blocking their exit. His eyes had turned black, and a malevolent grin played across his face. "You shouldn't have bought that mirror," he hissed, his voice deep and menacing. You've released something you can't control. The couple tried to push past him, but he was impossibly strong. They were trapped, with the demonic figure closing in on them from one side and Mr. Blackwood barring their escape from the other. But just as all seemed lost, a group of locals burst into the shop, armed with crucifixes and holy water. They had heard the rumors about the possessed antique shop and had come to investigate. With their help, the couple was able to fend off the demonic figure and escape from the shop. But they knew that the terror was far from over. They had unleashed something unspeakable, and it would haunt them for the rest of their days. In the aftermath of the incident, the shop was closed down and its contents were auctioned off to the highest bidders. But the cursed mirror was nowhere to be found, and many suspected that it had been spirited away by some unknown force. To this day, the couple refuses to speak about their experience in the possessed antique shop. But rumors persist that they were forever changed by what they witnessed, and that they are haunted by the memory of the demonic figure that emerged from the cursed mirror. As for Mr. Blackwood, he was never seen again. Some say he fled the town in fear, while others claim that he was consumed by the malevolent force that had taken hold of his shop. But whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain: the possessed antique shop will always be remembered as a place of unspeakable horror, where objects of the past held a dark and terrifying power over those who dared to enter. As the night draws to a close, we bid farewell to the terrors that haunted us and the spine-tingling tales that kept us on the edge of our seats. Remember, the darkness may linger, but the dawn always brings a new light. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and never stop exploring the mysteries of the unknown.